Welcome to Martini Time. Yes, it is. It's Martini Time again. You notice I brought my teddy down from upstairs. I'll keep him here so if any kids come in, they can't get him. It's too high because he's too old for kids. So anyway, I wanted to talk about the and I just this idea just hit me about 10 minutes ago. I was writing on Facebook, and the Ark of Trump. Now it's on the news now that Trump wants to testify under oath in this clash of titans. I mean, this is like wrestling, where you have the bad guy and the good guy, and each has their story, and they have mythic powers, and they fight for good, or one guy's the bad guy, people root for him, and it's dramatic, and it's creates fans who suspend disbelief so they can participate in the match believing it's really real. But everybody knows it's a performance. So who are these two wrestlers now who are going to have a match? Maybe arm wrestle? Right? So one, in this corner we have James Comey, the paragon of the FBI man, the man of integrity, the man of science, the man of evidence, the man who speaks the truth and is not subject, the best he can, to bias. And that's why he's been criticized, because did he have bias with Clinton or not? See. But anyway, he's a man of integrity, and also he can speak from his heart in public so that he's very believable. But anyway, in this corner we have the objective reality of empirical science. That's what the FBI is all about. It's about gathering evidence. And when there's enough evidence gathered, you can say you are guilty of breaking the law beyond a reasonable doubt. And then they go and prove it in court. So they gather just the facts. They don't gather stories. They're like Sergeant Friday and Dragnet. Just the facts. No emotional story. Just the facts. And they gather the facts. Now this objective world is the one we live in and assume is the only world. And this world was created at the end of the Middle Ages in the 1600s, and it gave birth to the scientific method, and its founding fathers were Copernicus and later Darwin. Excuse me. So why are these two, Copernicus and Darwin's, the twin pillars of the objective scientific world? Well, first of all, Copernicus, through gathering evidence through his telescope, came to the conclusion that that the sun and all the planets did not revolve around the earth. Now, throughout the Middle Ages, this was the paradigm. This was the story. This was the shape of the world. And if you notice, the earth was the center of the cosmos. Of course, they didn't know how big the cosmos was, but whatever it was, the earth was the center, and man was the center. And this comes right out of the Genesis. You know, there's earth is the center of the world, and man is the primary species, the center of life. You see. And so that's what held the Middle Ages together. So the whole goal of the Middle Ages, the whole structure, it was also a three-tiered layer. You had heaven, you had the middle layer of earth, and then you had hell. So the whole purpose of life in the Middle Ages was to stay out of hell and get to heaven. And that's why they built these great cathedrals, these Gothic cathedrals, as doorways to heaven. These were the doorways to heaven, you see, and the church was the gatekeeper. So if you wanted to get to heaven and not burn in eternal damnation, which was pictured as a very bad place, it was actually very real. So you had to go through the church in order to be saved, you see. And that was the whole structure. But it all depended on the earth being the center. So when Copernicus came up with his proof, and Galileo, the church fought it for like crazy, right? Because it was the key, it was the pillar to it. And it finally collapsed, and Earth became just another planet. Nothing special. But man was still special. And then came Darwin. And so Darwin says, well, man is just another species, and we're all evolving. All evolving together. Nobody's special. Bam, you see. We're still working on that one. We're still working on that one, you see. So, but the objective view took these two pillars out through objective investigation, through reasoning, through logic, through, this is what, when the Greek reason was brought back into the Middle Ages by Islam, you see, just think, well, what did Islam do? Well, Islam created the Western civilization, because while we were in the Dark Ages, Islam was copying and writing and studying Greek philosophy, which was objective reasoning. And so when the Europe was ready, this teaching, this reasoning came into Europe and created the Renaissance. And then that created the scientific world we now live in, scientific empiricism. Just the facts. The problem with the objective world, which Comey is really the personification of, is that it tells you how things are done, but it doesn't tell you why. There's no purpose for you in this world. You're just a thing among other things. You're all bumping around each other, and you just want to survive. You just want to get the biggest car. You want to get on top, get the most money, and then when you die, it's all gone. So there's a certain pointlessness to it, a certain meaningless to it, that the religious mind, who wants purpose, cannot tolerate. So now the all right. So the objective view. Now what is the opposite of the objective view? Well, it's the subjective view. Subject is me. Object is out there, stuff, you see. But I is the subject. Now, in the Middle Ages, the I was the center. And everything radiated out. All the maps show man at the center, everything going out. And a lot of yoga and all of these Eastern philosophies put man back in the center. If you look at yoga maps, you got the chakras, and you got the man is the universe, and it all flows through him, and the chakras, So the human being is like the is like the center of creation, but not in a story like God created man and put him in the center. You see. So Genesis, basically, in this personal Yahweh who created man and made man the center and put the earth in the center, you see, that's all mythology. But it's still important because it gives us meaning and a place and certainty and a feeling of belonging, of having a purpose, you see. So that's been missing from the modern scientific world. But so what has happened? So this subjective world has been slowly creating itself as a story of the world that gives you meaning. People want meaning. And Trump, you could say, is the personification of the subjective reality whose primary purpose is meaning of me, the story of me as the center, not the story of me as just a bunch of other things bumping around each other, you see. Science is the story of you as being just another thing, operated by laws caused by chance or cause and effect, like a machine. But I say, I'm not a machine, I'm an I. You see, I am consciousness. I am that, you see. So what's the story that gives that I a place, you see? So the problem is that both subjective and objective worldview, one is no story but the facts, and we call that the truth, and the other story is meaning, and we call that the truth. So you got facts versus value. That's why the Republicans have been the party of value. Family values. Values, values, values. Meaning, meaning, meaning. You see. So, now we've got these two worldviews, and they're incompatible. They're contradictory. You've got the objective worldview of facts, and you've got the subjective worldview of meaning. So what organizes the facts for the subjective view of meaning, of me at the center? You see? Well, when your view of the world is one where you are at the center, then all the facts you see, everything you perceive, supports that story, that reality. This is why people with a conspiracy theory, paranoia, will see everything they see supports their paranoia. Other people say, what are you talking about? See, that proves it. That proves it. That proves it. You see, what are you talking about? Something just happened. Doesn't mean that there's this devil out there that Obama's going to get you or something. So anyway, the story shapes the world, you see, and gives meaning to and people in that worldview actually see the meaning of everything. It's not like they don't see it, they actually see it, you see. In the same way that the objective view sees the same facts and has a different result. You see. And this is driving us crazy, because both views, the secular scientific view and the subjective religious view, are competing on the same field. Now, when the Middle Ages ended, Descartes was the philosopher who set the stage for the modern world. And he said, the objective world of facts and reason and logic is for science, and the subjective world of meaning is for religion. Religion has the subjective world of meaning and value. Facts, science, logic, science gets that. It's like two different branches, you see. Each one has its own domain. However, the scientific world with the objective method became so successful, made air conditioners, cars, everything we live in today, all of our, you look at other cultures, primitive, that haven't changed, and they're still living the way they lived 2,000 years ago. There's no history there. We created history. We created evolution of consciousness, you see. And so our society is evolving, creating more and more stuff. We're coming to the point where we don't know if that's a good thing or not. But the point is that it's very successful, and it became the dominant worldview. And the subjective worldview was put in the basement, or it's just your opinion, it's just fantasy. And we created movies, TV, in order to satisfy the religious need for meaning. So you go buy a ticket to a movie, you suspend disbelief, you go in there, the lights go off, and you're in the movie, and you get meaning out of the movie, and you come out and you feel so good. But then the world comes back, the objective world back. And oh God, I'm stressed out, you see. But while I was in that movie, I was king of the world. And the movie, you see, it creates catharsis, so that you are, that's what Aristotle talked about. The movie is a cathartic experience where you're cleansed of your malaise with the objective world, so to speak. So, as you can see, what's happening today is that the subjective view was once the religious view, is now competing on the same field. And they're totally opposite. And it's driving us crazy. Because we're trying to understand the subjective view with objective reason. This is what the media is going in. So the subjective view says, well, the media is fake. From their view, it is, because the media doesn't believe the story or the mythology of the subjective view. You see. So the media, which is reasonable, rational, logical, tries to logically understand the subjective view, which is logical only on the inside of the view, you see. It's a different logic. It's two different logics. The logic of the subjective view is the logic of art, the logic of metaphor, the logic of story. So how do we get to Noah's Ark? I guess I forgot that. I need a drink. So, all right, so Noah's Ark is a very ancient myth. This flood, this goes back to long before the Hebrews. It goes back to ancient Sumeria. And Mount Ararat, I think, is that the name of it? That's the center of the world. The mountain is always the center of the universe. The highest mountain. Just like Trump's tower is the center of the universe. The highest thing is the center. And so the ark, now this is what's interesting about the ark, is that it takes in pairs of animals. Now we think this is just, you got to have pairs of animals to reproduce. Well, that's the factual meaning, but the metaphorical meaning is that the world is pairs of opposites, good and bad, up and down, in and out, hard and soft. Pairs of opposites, okay? So the ark then is a world. And it has in it the pairs of opposites. And the ark was created under the direction of God. So the world is created by God with man as its steward, you see. So man, Noah, male, is the emissary, direct emissary of God on earth. And the ark then is a metaphor for the pairs of opposites that make up phenomena. See, if it exists as a pair of opposites. And it's very, if I say this, okay, this is what I stroke my Buddha bowl with, right? This is this. Now what's the opposite to this? Everything else. This can't exist unless it stands out from everything else. you see. So everything comes in two. Nothing stands by. If this were standing by itself, then this would be the whole universe. It would have no second. There would be no. It would have. It would be the one that has no second. You see. So there would be nothing else except this. Well, obviously that wouldn't. That can't happen. But the point is, everything comes in twos. There is nothing stands alone. Except in this story, God. So God stands alone as the one without a second. And then God's emissary is Noah, man, stands alone with one. Nobody, women are not in competition here, you see. And then he creates a world with the pairs of opposites, you know. And then it lands on the center of the universe, which is the mountain, the highest mountain. Anyway, so the point is that in the ark, you see, the subjective view is an ark with pairs of opposites, good and bad, this and that, you and this and all that, all these pairs of opposites, you see, competing and all that, you see. But man is the center, like Noah. Okay. So in Trump's view, and I'm not just pointing out, say, this is just Trump. No, I'm saying this is a reality that's in America now, and it's competing with the other reality. And Trump is just the god of it. Trump was just elected to run it. Trump was just the one who was elected to personify this reality in his person. He gave it flesh and blood. Before Trump, this reality existed without any God, without any one person who personified it. You see. So it was the Republican Party. The party of religion and values and story. You see. The party of meaning. So Trump gave it flesh and blood. As a person, you see. So now Trump, as the god of the subjective view, is going to meet Comey, who is the god of the objective view. Isn't that interesting? Like a wrestling match. In this corner, Comey. In this corner, Trump. Who's lying? Who's telling the truth? Which view of the world is real? You can only have one. Can't have two worlds. That's schizophrenia. That's psychosis. We can only have one reality. Who is going to determine the real reality? Will the real reality please stand up? And so Trump is going to fight for his reality, which is the story of man, him, at the center. Because Trump is personifying man. He said in his campaign, let my voice be your voice. I am America. I'm going to restore America to the one. And you will all have the wealth of meaning. You will all have purpose and happiness and success because you will have meaning. And jobs are meaning. Jobs aren't just about money. Jobs give you meaning. So I'll restore you, you see, to your original place before this scientific enlightenment came in after the Middle Ages and ruined it all. And just made us a bunch of things bumping around, evolving out of monkeys and all that ridiculous stuff, you see. Global warming. Are you kidding? You see. That doesn't fit the story, you see. So what doesn't fit the story is either not seen at all or is blasted out of the water. Because you can't have anything in your story that objects to or contradicts your story. So you put a wall around your story and keep out anything that it doesn't fit your story. If your story is that the white man is Noah and everyone else is down below that, well then you can't let in anyone that says, wait a minute, I'm an equal partner on this boat. No, I'm the captain. So you you get the picture here with Noah's Ark. Metaphors are great because they give you a little handle, a little picture to explain what is not seen, what we can't see. Like in Jaws when he says we're going to need a bigger boat. So we need a bigger understanding to see what's going on in our culture now. With the need and the... See, I'm not saying the subjective view is wrong. I'm just saying we have to look at what's going on. Because the subjective view has value. It's necessary. We need to have meaning. We need to feel like I have a place in life. But what we're really moving towards here is the evolution of our consciousness. And you don't evolve by having two competing opposites. The ark does not float if the pairs of opposites destroy each other. The ark does not float if every couple kills one of the other, so that you only have males or you only have females, or you only have positive and no negative, you see. You only have up and no down. You only have rich and no poor. That the ark isn't going to float if you don't have the pairs of opposites. So now we have a pair of opposites. The objective view with Comey, the subjective view with Trump. Boom, a pair of opposites. Now, is this a wrestling match where one is going to kill the other? Or is it evolution? Are we going to evolve past this and come up with a greater whole self or sense of America that includes both views, you see, that transcends the pairs of opposites and creates a new self, a new America that includes the best of both? How to do something and the meaning of doing something. To make it simple, I don't know. So anyway, let's leave it with that. And thank you for dropping in this evening. And I'll see you in the morning at the Metaphor Toolbox.